Men are known to leave their wives when their wives get sick, and I just started watching Love is Blind, the new season.
As a woman with MS, I can 100% confirm that this is true. So I have kind of a unique perspective on this because I myself have MS, but I also come from a giant family cluster of MS. So my mother has MS, 4 of her 6 sisters have MS, and there's like 24 cousins on that side of the family, and one by one, all of the women of my generation are getting MS. Now, my grandmother didn't have MS, but she had Parkinson's. So I've been witness to 3 generations of women with chronic illnesses being absolutely abandoned by their husbands. And a lot of times they leave, right? Not right away. They'll stay for about 6 months after the diagnosis and play the hero while everyone's still watching, everyone's praising them for being brave and selfless. And then once the actual work begins, once it becomes unglamorous and hard, they dip out. And they do it in a way that leaves them feeling blameless, right? They pick fights, they start building resentment, they start manufacturing conflicts, they start gaslighting. Essentially, these men will do the things that men do when they want out of a relationship, but they don't want to feel like the bad guy. Or they'll stay and kill their wives through neglect. Now, this is what's happened in my family multiple times. So my grandfather, who is devoutly Catholic, did not leave my grandmother when she got diagnosed with Parkinson's. He did, however, let her starve to death through neglect. A month after she died, he proposed to someone else. I have another aunt who has died from MS, and her husband didn't let her starve, but he also refused to help in any way. So by the end, my aunt was in a wheelchair, she was paraplegic, she essentially died from suffocation. And yet this man refused to do the dishes, refused to do laundry, refused to tidy the house, refused to do any sort of housework in general. And so they lived in this hoarder, squalor, horribly unhygienic environment because he just refused to help out. As soon as she died, he got rid of all of her stuff, anything and everything that was hers or reminded him of her, cleared it out of the house, and he hasn't been seen from since. For all I know, he's remarried. I have another aunt who's in the hospital right now for MS. She needs a walker to get around the house. She cannot use a phone because she doesn't have the dexterity in her fingers. And her husband routinely leaves her for 3 weeks at a time to just go on vacation without her. And he doesn't arrange for her kids to stop by or for like frozen meals or anything. No, he just leaves. I mean, he's not pushing her down the stairs of the house, but these men are essentially trying to usher their wives into the grave through neglect. This is just in my family. And I think one of the most amazing things about TikTok is that we as women are starting to realize that these stories aren't personal. It's not like, oh, that relationship was flawed and it fell apart under stress. No, these are systemic issues. These are patriarchy issues. When men take that vow of in sickness and in health, they only mean their sickness and their health. As soon as their wife gets sick, they're out. And this happens so frequently that hospitals have formal or informal HR modules on how to train nurses and doctors to break the news to women when they get a chronic illness like this, that their husbands are going to leave them. This is not an individual issue. This is an issue with our whole society, our whole culture.